Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. And welcome to this Specialist Trading educational presentation. Now I'm really excited about today's webinar because I'm going to be introducing a brand new indicator. This is our new PTS XT. That's the Extreme Trend Indicator. It really does a fantastic job of identifying these really extreme momentum moves. But before I show you a lot of current examples, let me start out by asking you a question. For example, which chart would you rather trade? Let's just say that you're a long trader. You like to only buy stocks. Maybe you like to buy options, calls, or some type of spread strategy to the upside. Would you rather trade a chart like this, or would you rather trade a chart like this? Most likely this would be the one, right? Now let's say you like to play the opposite side of the coin. You like to go short. You like to buy puts. Maybe you're having a great, last couple of days or weeks here because the market has been going straight down. But what if the market were doing this? Would you rather trade this market, or would you rather trade this? Now, on top of that, how would you like to know in advance when these types of strong downward or upward momentum moves were about to happen? Well, it's actually one click away on our platform. This is what I'm going to be talking about today, to the PTS XT. This is the new extreme trending tool we have, and it's going to be displayed on our platform. This is the platform that automatically identifies extreme trends in advance. So welcome once again. As you can see, this is going to be a great presentation because we're going to be talking about something entirely different. I've been trading with this for a while, and it's really aided my trading. I've been trading it for a while. But it was something I had to calculate by myself, and up until recently, we had it formatted through our programmers and through our computers so that it's automatically done for you on our screen. So welcome. My name is Steven Primo, President and Founder of Specialist Trading, and this new tool I feel can strongly increase your odds for consistency and only get you in these strong trending markets. I'm going to show you a lot of examples, current examples, where this could have really helped you. And the beauty of this new trending tool is that it not only can be applied to stocks, as we've seen, it can be applied to indices, ETFs. It can be a market directional tool where you're not actually using it to trade. You're just seeing if the market's in a strong trend, and then you can apply it to things within that particular index. You can use it on futures, intraday trading. I like to use it on intraday E-mini trading. You can use it on currency pairs, even commodities. I'm going to show you examples in all of these and then different ways in which to apply it to your own personal trading. But before we begin, as always, we are first required by law to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results, a lot of current results using the new PTS XT tool, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. So as you're taking a brief moment to view the disclaimer, I see a lot of new faces here today. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. I would suggest copying that down if you don't have that information already. I post a lot of great free educational information on a daily basis. In fact, if you go to our Twitter page, you'll see in the last week or so, I've posted a lot of setups that included this new indicator we're going to be talking about today. You're going to see how it could have helped you in the past few days. So lots of great free educational information. Please feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, as I stated in the opening statements, we are a little different from other webinars you may have attended in that our only goal is simply to educate you. We are first and foremost an educational company. So what exactly does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that I'm going to tell you what to buy or what to sell in today's presentation. In fact, we don't believe in that. I'm not going to tell you what the market's going to be doing, in my opinion. I don't believe in that either. You see, a good mentor never tells you how to trade. A good mentor shows you things that work and then mentors you along the way so that ultimately you can refine it, alter it, and edit it to fit your needs, to fit your risk parameters, so that you can be in charge. I've often stated that the worst thing you can do is try to copy another trader. You know, no two traders should ever be trading alike, either the same system, the same method. Now, sure, we have students around the world trading our strategies and our methods, but we encourage them all to trade them differently according to their own means. We have upwards of 7 different entry points for each strategy, 7 different exits, 7 different stop placements. It's up to you to decide which one makes you feel the most comfortable. So we neither teach nor do we trade systems. We just provide you with information education and tools and strategies that have stood the test of time. Now, we've had a really rough couple of weeks. I'm sure you've all seen the markets. In terms of rough, meaning that I'd say good 80 to 85% of all traders have recently lost this last couple of weeks. Most of our students, I think, are doing very well because they were actually aware of what was going to be happening weeks ago. In fact, if you go to our Twitter page, you'll see that I tweeted, I believe on the 21st of February, all right, about 3 weeks ago, that the market was giving signs, indications of a strong downward move. You may want to be careful. This is what we mean here. We're trying to teach you all these things so that you don't have to listen to anyone else. In fact, I can't tell you how many phone calls or emails I've got from prospective students, even friends and family members, saying, Steve, what do you think the market's going to do now? Is it bottomed out? Or what do you think about oil? What's going on with these markets? Well, in my opinion, and our philosophy is you should never ask those questions, because when you ask someone else, what do you think of the market? Or what do you think is going to happen? You're basically telling the markets and everyone else, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so why don't you tell me what to do? In fact, why don't you tell me what you're doing and I'll just mimic you and copy whatever you're buying or selling. And that's a recipe for disaster. Unfortunately, that's the way our entire industry is built on. So that's why most traders fail. What we want to do is teach you how to trade. As you can see here, my goal is not to force feed you signals. It's not to give you some master system that never fails and has you just entering wherever the the up and down arrows are. We don't believe in that. My goal is to teach you how to trade. This is the same edge that was taught to me some 43 years ago when I first started trading, and what has sustained me. This is the specialist edge, which we teach our students around the world in over 115 countries and in virtually every state in the United States. So that's what we do. We provide sound fundamental education so that you can not just have a couple of good months or maybe a couple of good trades, but maybe a couple of good decades. You could be trading 20, 30, 40 years down the road, okay? That's our goal. Now, since this is an educational class today, I want you to ask me as many questions as possible, but please remember to ask them at the end. I have a lot of slides to share with you. If we stop at every slide the way some other presenters do, we'll be here far too long. I don't want to take you away from today's markets. I just want to present this new tool to you. So if you have a question, please wait or write it down, and I promise I'll get to it at the very end. The only question I will answer is this one, and is this being recorded? Yes, it is. We record all of our webinars, so at the very end of today's presentation, each and every one of you will be sent a link to this recording so you can watch it as often as you like, okay? So please, if you joined us late, we have a good crowd here today. Please wait till the very end of class to ask questions, and I promise I'll get to each and every one of them, okay? All right, with that stated, let's begin today's presentation. Now, let's start off by asking a few questions, because I know you've never seen or heard of this new tool. So what exactly is this new PTS XT, or the Extreme Trend Indicator? Well, let's go down the list. It's a tool that identifies in advance high probability zones. You see, this basically will signal or notify you when it has all the different tools and indicators that make up this particular indicator, when everything is collaborating to identify one of these high probability zones for either a high probability up move or a high probability down move. Now, what this can also imply is that these zones will keep you out of choppy or whipsaw markets when they're not in effect, when they're not being activated. Those are the markets you want to stay out of. Now, it also increases your odds for consistency, because if you're only trading when these high probability areas and zones are in effect and you're staying out of the areas in which most likely you lose, this will increase your odds for consistency. Now, it does this by pinpointing these low-hanging fruit trade areas, all right? So you'll know in these certain blocks, which I'll show you in just a few minutes, that these are the places you should be trading. This is the low-hanging fruit of the chart. Now, it provides multiple trading opportunities. Now, I'll go over those in a little bit. I'll show you different ways in which you can actually trade them. But for now, I'm just going to share with you where these low-hanging fruit areas are. Now, it also identifies which markets to avoid. Let's say you want to look at certain indices, all right, and they're not in this particular high probability zone. Well, you may want to avoid those, all right, because that's where this choppiness is. Let's say you're looking at a bunch of different market groups, and half of them are in a high probability zone, the other half are not. Well, you know which ones not to trade and which ones to stay in. And then lastly, and I think most importantly, it eliminates the trading traffic jams and congestions. Now think of it. So many traders will lose or have a difficult time in this whipsaw type area or this congestion. This is where trading gets really cloggy. In fact, it's almost similar to driving. If any of you, I live in Los Angeles, and if any of you try to drive during a traffic jam, you see how terrible it is. You don't really get anywhere. This is similar to trading during these whipsaw or these really congested markets. You're just log jammed and you're buying, and the minute you buy, it goes the other way, it goes down, and the minute you sell, it goes back up. Most traders fail because they're trying to get to their destination, but they're stuck in these congested traffic jams, these kind of sideways moving markets. So if you're trying to get, let's say, to work and you're stuck in this traffic jam, it's the same way if you're trying to have a successful or consistent trade and you're stuck in this whipsaw area where you shouldn't be trading. Now, let's say, for example, you have a friend or another trader or a family member that says, listen, I know of a great shortcut to get you where you want to go, to get you from A to point B. And it's almost as if you just get there so quickly and so fast, it's almost as if no one else is on the road. So this is what trading with the extreme trend is like. You're on a shortcut that not a lot of people know about, and you get to your destination much quicker, and it's easier. There's not this feeling of the minute you get into a trade, you're worried that you're going to lose money because it hasn't been working lately or the markets are just so whipsaw. You have this feeling of, you're just very confident because the extreme trend is really simple to trade in. So once you know the extreme trend, it's like your own highway to consistency. That's the beauty of having this tool in your back pocket. All right, so next question. What is the PTS XT indicator based on? Well, it's a proprietary tool, but what I can tell you is that it's based on multiple proprietary indicators and their relationship to one another and price's relationship overall to these indicators. So when these things all line up, when they're all configured and all based up together, that's when we are finding that we have this extreme trend to the upside or this extreme trend to the downside. But the good news is you don't have to worry about calculating this. This is why I did this for so long, and I used it in my own personal trading, and it was pretty good. It worked really well, but it's very difficult to do, and that's why I didn't use it 100% of the time, because it was a little bit too hard for me to always be monitoring. But now we don't have to worry about it. Our programmers have taken the hard work out of it for you and put it into these zones. So now we have these zones displayed. Now, next question. How is the PTS XT different from other specialist trading trending tools? I'm sure a lot of you are saying, well, Steve, you're always talking about trading with a trend. You've got these other tools. So how is this any different? Okay, well, let's talk about specialist trading tools. Let's talk about our two main tools. Now, the first one is the buy-sell line. You've heard me speak about this. This is, in my opinion, one of the most valuable tools and indicators we have. Now, the buy-sell line is great for determining the overall trend. In fact, if you go to look at our Twitter page, I was talking about some of the information we give there. I gave a great example of this looking at crude oil and some other oil stocks this past week or so, where a lot of people were saying, boy, we were trying to come up with reasons why crude fell out of bed so quickly this last week. Well, the buy-sell line actually detected that it was going into a downtrend months ago. So this is an overall trending tool. It's much different from what we're just going to be describing today. Now, our second powerful tool that we have at Specialist Trading is the PET-D. So how is this any different from the PET-D? Well, the PET-D is a more refined tick-by-tick type trending tool. It's more short-term. And what it does is it has multiple uses. You can use the PET-D as a signal confirmation tool. You can also use it as a stop placement tool. You can use it multiple ways in which to apply it. And you can also use it as a short-term trend. But many times, in that short-term trend, let's say you have a short-term uptrend defined by the PET-D, you'll see there's some green bars and then there's some red bars because the PET-D is a color bar tool, okay? But even though it continues to go up, you'll see a splash of opposite color bars from time to time. Same thing with the downside. Why? Because it's so sensitive. It's such a sensitive type of tool because it's based on a tick-by-tick basis of whatever market you're looking at, all right? Now, that is completely different from what we're going to be sharing with you today because the PTS XT just blocks out or zones out these fast-moving markets. When I was trading on the stock exchange floor, we used to call these fast markets. This is where the market would all of a sudden take off to the upside or all of a sudden take off to the downside, okay? That's all we're identifying, all right? We're not using anything on a tick-by-tick basis. We're just trying to identify these zones where the market is moving very fast in a particular direction. Now, the only thing that the PTS XT has in common with these two of our main tools for defining the trend is that it will never repaint or never recalculate. You know, one of the things that I really don't like is when you look at it on another platform and another, tool, someone else's great tool, and it looks great. In hindsight, you think, this is amazing. This thing never fails. And then you start using it and you see that it repaints itself. It adjusts itself going forward. Well, the buy-sell line, the PET-D, and the PTS XT will never do that. Once you see it's defined something, it will never change. That's, the beauty of all of our tools. They never recalculate or never repaint. Okay, lastly, what is the PTST's main purpose? In other words, well, what are you supposed to be doing with this tool? Well, as an indicator, its main purpose is that it was designed to announce in advance when a strong trend is about to begin. And on top of that, if you don't see a strong trend, if it's not announcing anything, well, then maybe you should be out of the market, because that's telling you that you're basically in kind of a sideways range, and you don't want to be trading those markets. So, an ideal situation would be only to trade when you get these zones, these strong zones that are generated by the PTS XT. And the beauty of it is that I'll show you in just a few seconds, it announces these things before they happen. So you'll get a really strong warning before anyone knows that you're going to have a strong upward move or a strong downward move. Okay, so let's show you how the PTS XT indicator is applied and how you access this on our platform, okay? All right, let's look at this older chart of the spiders. This is in December of 2019, coming into January. Someone looking at this would say, well, okay, we're only looking at 4 or 5 bars, but we've kind of had 4 straight up days. I think, looking at the indicators I watch, this is overbought. And on top of that, my trading guru, who's in that chat room and that trading room I go to, says it's up too high, so I don't want to buy this, right? Okay, once again, to see how everything I'm analyzing is defined off what someone or something else is saying. This goes against our philosophy. You should never listen to anyone or anyone else tell you what the market's doing. You should know by applying a few simple but powerful tools. Here's where the PTS XT Extreme comes in. What we suggest is the first thing you do if you're interested in wondering what zone this is just click it on our platform. Okay, this is the PTS Primo charting platform I designed with Pro Trader Strategies. And once you do, it'll show you, we have about 2 or 3 different ways, but let me show you the simplest way on these zones, these blocks. And once you get a yellow block around a bar, all right, a yellow zone around a bar, in this case it's colored yellow. You can change the colors if you like, but yellow is a more extreme color. That's showing you that, well, according to this tool, it's announcing that a strong upward extreme uptrend is about to start. So rather than saying this is overbought, forget about what some so-called guru or some chat room or some institution is doing. We don't care about those things. What is the market telling us? It's telling us most likely there's going to be a real strong upward trend in the spiders. And guess what? In the next 2 or 3 weeks, it quickly went up 10 points, okay? This is where traders usually have a difficult time because they'll say it's overbought, it's up too high, and they'll start shorting into it and trying to pick a top. That's the beauty of the PTS XT. It'll keep you in, and then once it stops making these zones, these boxes, you see, we're out of the zone right now, so you shouldn't be trading, or maybe you increase your stops up a little higher. But then look what happened on the next bar. The indicator announcing now that, well, guess what? More uptrend is about to ensue, and we went up another 11 points, all right? So now, if you wanted to apply any method, any technique, any strategy to this, you could have done this to the upside. And even though the indicators, even though the institutions, even though the volume, even though the support and resistance was saying it's not supposed to go higher, we don't care about that. We're only basing everything off of what the market's telling us. Now, we're out of it right here. And at this point, once again, you should either raise your stops or be out entirely, because then look what happens. These are the markets where most people lose money. They're choppy. As you can see, we went down, then we gapped up, then we went down again, and then we gapped up. Okay? Now, this is where you most likely lose money because you say, well, I'm going to hold on to my position, and then it goes all the way down to the bottom. So you say, well, I'm getting out of it. I guess it's going to go lower, so I'll short it. So then you short it, goes back up. You say, okay, wow, I guess I was wrong. I'll go long. It goes back down. See, this is the tough, congested area that I try to represent in that traffic jam. This is where most traders have trouble. Now, this is one of the great advantages of the PTS XT. It doesn't always 100% guarantee keep you out of these, but it does a good job of that. And I'll show you in a few moments how it does a good job. Now, other times it will kind of have some fits and starts, and I'll show you that as well, because nothing is 100% guaranteed. I'm not going to sit here and say that this never fails, but we're looking for consistency. Consistency will sustain you. So you don't have to be right, and the indicator doesn't have to, perform 100% on each and every setup. All right, so you're out. So you haven't done anything. You had a nice trade here. Let's say you just bought here and decided to take, maybe 5 or 7 points, and you're out. Now you're waiting for another setup. You've avoided this trading, so you haven't had any losses here. And as you wait, you see that another setup was generated right here. So what is the indicator doing? It's announcing that we're going to even go higher. So you could get back in if you wanted to right here at the close of this bar. You could wait for it to trade 1 or 2 ticks above. You could place a limit. It's entirely up to you. But as you can see, we went up another 8 points. Now this was coming into the end of February. And then we all know what happened after that. To see how the indicator kept you out, you would have exited. Let's say you moved your stop up. You would have been stopped out and you would have avoided all this downward move. Now, this doesn't just work to the upside. Look at this example in ALK. Someone looking at this would say, well, gosh, don't really know. We're kind of going sideways. But once you apply the PTS XT, we see that this last bar now has a reddish-orange block around it. What is this saying? Well, the indicator is telling us that it's announcing that most likely there's going to be a strong downward move. This is where you don't want to be buying. And if you're an aggressive shorting trader, you may want to buy the puts. You may want to look to go short the stock. But either way, the indicator is announcing a strong downward move. Even though it doesn't even look like anything's happening, look what happened. The stock fell 20 points coming into the first week here in March, this last week, all right? Now, this is not based on any news. It's not based on any supply and demand. It's not based on any Fibonacci support and resistance. It's not based on any institution, what the institutions are buying or selling. Trust me, I've traded with all those things some 4 decades ago. They don't have any levels of consistency. They'll work every once in a while, but over time, if you continue to use them, you'll most likely give all your money back. Why not just listen to the source of what you're trading, which is the chart in front of you? These indicators, this new indicator, the XT, is defining what the market wants to do, and it's announcing it to you. All right, so let's look at the PTS XT indicator examples. These are many of these are very, very recent in this past week, as you just saw. All right, we started here with IBM. This is starting out in February. It looks like we're going up and then we're going straight down. How can we have taken advantage of this? Most likely we would have been shorting all the way into this because we thought it was going to go lower, and then as it's going lower, we start buying, right? That's the way most traders trade. But if you had the PTS XT, you would have clicked on the tab on our platform and seen that we had right here at the very start, it was announcing and signaling that it wanted to go higher and a quick 16 points. Now, you can trade this. It's not really a trading tool, but if you want to, you could trade this. The minute you get a yellow block, you could buy. But you're responsible for your own results because this is not a strategy. It's just simply an indicator that's announcing a strong upward move. And it would have gotten you out right here before the market started to head lower. And then look what happens. On the very next bar, it's announcing a strong downward move. So if you missed this upward move, you could have gotten short, got some puts, 21 points to the downside coming into this first week of March, okay? This is IBM. Let's look at APA, all right? This was also in February coming into this last week of March. This is the way most traders trade. They say, well, Steve, we're in a choppy, congested area. This is kind of a range market here. Trading chat room I go to says that you shouldn't be doing anything, and I'm just going to stay out of this, all right? Well, okay, you can stay out of it. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you had this PTS XT Extreme tool, you could have actually seen that it was going to announce a downtrend, and not just a slow, steady downtrend. That's not its function. Its function is to announce these strong, fast market downtrends. So right here, this was at the end of February. Guess what? A quick 18 points coming into this week, okay? How about gold? Now, this is a weekly chart of gold, the ETF, okay? GLD. All right, a lot of people are saying, wow, I got caught off guard. That gold really took off. Well, right here in the beginning of the year, the PTS XT announced that an uptrend was about to begin, and the gold, the ETF went up 13 points coming into this past month. Let's look at CLR, okay? Now, is this support? Well, after all, you know, I follow the institutions, and the institutions are buying right here, and they're never wrong, right? So I want to just copy and piggyback right on whatever the institution's doing, right? That's silly. I traded with the institutions 40 years ago, and they didn't know any more, and they had no level of consistency higher than anyone else. Why would I rely on what they're doing if they don't even have high results half the time? Why not just listen to the market? What is the market telling us? Let's apply and see if there's going to be a fast market coming. We click on our indicator, and we see that there's a box colored red, all right? This is telling us that most likely, not guaranteed, but most likely there is an announcement that a strong and fast downtrend is about to take place. This was in the middle of January, all right? Now, this is an oil stock. Middle of January. How did we know to sell this? Everyone in the world was trying to figure out what to do with oil, crude oil. How did we know to sell this well before any of this fundamental news came out about a pricing war with Russia or Iran or whatever, Saudi Arabia? How did we know? Did Saudi Arabia call us up and say, hey, listen, Steve, you sound like a nice guy. You have a nice little company there. Maybe you may want to tell all of your investors to start shorting oil. No. Then how did we know? Because everything is in the price. It's in the chart in front of you. The chart tells you what it wants to do. Why would you waste your time listening and trying to figure out fundamental news? Most likely it's late, but we knew well in advance prior to this stock falling out of bed some 25 points. All right, let's look at Apple now. Here's the chart in Apple from October of last year coming into the end of January. This is before it started to sell off. But look at this in hindsight, looking like someone would say, well, gosh, you know, I never get to take part in these stocks that go straight up. I never, you know, have an idea of how, when they're going to be going up. Well, now you do. With the PTS XT, it generated all of these high probability uptrend blocks. Look at these different zones. The first one in October could have generated a quick 20 points in just about 3 weeks. The next one was 10 points. And now here's what I wanted to point out before. Every once in a while, you'll have these fits and starts. This is what we mean by consistency. Consistency means that something doesn't work 100% of the time. So had you jumped right in off these 3 setups here, well, guess what? They wouldn't have worked, but you would have had minor losses, because look what happened on the very next one. 45 points straight up. So this is what this tool is designed to do. It's designed to identify and announce in advance when these things are going to happen. And it does it very well. Sure, there will be instances like this where it won't really apply. That's okay. As long as over time we're able to have these really high probability zones, that's okay. They'll most likely make up. All right, let's look at CVX. The same thing, except to the downside. Starting in January all the way until the end of February, this has been going lower. How could this tool have helped us? Well, originally we applied it, and look at the downward zone we had here. A quick 12 points in about 3 weeks. It kept you out of this area right here, the chop. You avoided trading, and then you could have gotten right back in at the end of February for a quick 18 points down. Wouldn't you like to know when these fast markets are going to happen before anyone else? You could get in and buy calls or puts or short the stock or buy the stock prior to anyone knowing when the prices are relatively inexpensive. This is what this tool is designed to do. I trade this intraday on a daily basis. All right, let's look at ZROZ, okay? We had a couple of really nice little blocks here. First one generated a quick 10 points. The second one, 2 points, but most likely it didn't really work well. So this is what we mean by consistency. Let's say you bought here on the opening of this first bar and it didn't work and got stopped out. Well, remember, consistency is a 2-step forward, 1-step back process. It means not to give up, because many times the very next setup may be the one that makes back your loss. Now, sure, maybe you lost 2, maybe you lost 5 points. How would you have liked to have known that you were going to make 55 potential points? Now, we're not saying you would have, but potentially you could have, because the stock went up 55 points in roughly about 3 weeks, okay, coming into this last week. Let's look at, this is FANG, F-A-N-G, all right? This is how beautiful this tool works, because once the trend changes, it changes with it. Now, originally here, this was coming into January, it identified and announced a strong upward trend. Look at how it blocked off this. And remember, this doesn't repaint or generate bars or blocks after the fact. You would have known right here on this very first bar, it was outlined yellow, and that would have given you the heads up that there's going to be a strong upward move. Now, at this point, it would have said that the upward move is over. So you may have wanted to gotten out altogether. At this point right here, it's telling you a strong move to the downside. Look at you, a week or two of straight down market, 13 points. Here's where you're out of the market again entirely. And then right here on this one bar, you would have been notified in advance because the bar would have been outlined and colored reddish orange to get out and to go short if you wanted to for a quick 48 points coming into this last week. Remember, none of this is repainted. None of this has been recalculated. You would have known these things in advance of their moves. Let's look at CMG, okay? All right, we had a nice upward move and then we're starting to go lower. Is this time for support? Is this time to buy? Because after all, you know, that indicator you have from another platform is telling you that this is so oversold. You had a strong sell-off. It's time to buy this, right? Well, look what we had here. We had an uptrend that would have gotten you out for a quick 50 points. And where everyone else is thinking it's time to buy, the PTS XT was announcing a downtrend just off this one bar. And look what happened. 200 points coming into this week. All right. This was well before the market went into its really strong downward move. You knew this at the end of February that there was going to be a strong downward move in CMG. Don't you think you would have liked to have had a heads up and purchased the puts in that? RCL. All right. Another example here where it looks like it's oversold, all right? Most traders say, listen, we're oversold. All the indicators, everything I've ever traded says you have to buy this. At least it's going to come up and fill this gap, all right? This is where all the support is. You've got to buy this. You press on the tab for the PTS XT. Where everyone else thinks there's support, it's issuing a red-orange block or red-orange zone telling you that a strong downward move is most likely, not guaranteed, but most likely about to take place. You would have known at the end of January that this stock was about to fall. Now, you had potentially 72 points you could have captured. Now, once again, we're not saying that you would have made 72 points. We're not saying you would have made anything. We're just highlighting where a strong move was about to take place. Now, Tesla. Remember when Tesla was going straight up? Remember when everyone was saying, gosh, I wish I would have known. How did I know this thing was going to go straight up? Well, if you applied the PTS XT Extreme Trend Tool, you would have seen right here in October that there was a quick 100 points to be made. You would have exited, and look at how we went sideways here. You would not have been involved. This is where traders usually get in and where they say, you know what, this is not doing anything anymore. I can't hold on to my money this long, or I bought the calls and I just lost because it expired. You would have been out and avoided all your trading and had a chance to get back in here in mid-December prior to the 600-point move. Now, we're not saying you would have made 600, but potentially you could have captured that straight-up move if you wanted to. All right, so let's look at trading some other markets. Now, we know right now we've just showed you the zones and the announcements that this is going to be headed higher or lower very quickly. How would you trade it? Well, there are a number of ways. For example, you could, if you wanted to, even though it's not a strategy, the very first yellow or the very first reddish orange bar you see, you could buy or sell. That's up to you, but you would have to apply some other rules such as exiting, such as stop placement, such as money management, all right, because it's not a strategy. This is not a trading system. This is just an early warning telling you when a very strong move is about to happen. But what if you wanted to apply one of your strategies? Sure, you could do that. Don't you think your strategy would have a higher level of consistency if you were only trading in sync with these zones? Let's show you some examples using our strategies, okay? Here's a weekly chart of BABA, okay? As you can see here, in hindsight, in 2016, it went straight up and then it went straight down. But then in 2017, it went straight up again, coming into the end of that year. How could this tool have helped us? Well, we apply it and we see that we only would have been buying here. It never generated a sell block. All it did was show these strong upward trends, and there was a quick 30 points. You could have exited and avoided all this area right here. Once another yellow zone was generated, you could have gotten in and just bought whenever you wanted to. Now, 90 potential points you could have made coming into the end of that year. Let's say you wanted to use one of our strategies. Well, all you have to do is see that our strategies would have been pinpointed to purchase at the very low of that 30-point gain, and then another one at the very low of that 90-point gain. So do you see how our strategies coupled with this will really increase your odds for consistency as well as keep you out of the areas you don't want to be trading? Let's look at CVX, okay? Remember we had these blocks. We showed you this earlier where we had a strong downward zone, and then we had another strong downward zone, and then you avoided trading here. Once you apply one of our strategies, again, look at all the sell signals that you could have potentially generated some nice gains off of. Then you would have been out altogether, and then look at this sell signal using one of our methods that would have got you in right at the top before that downward move. Let's look at a 4-hour chart of the euro dollar. I know we have a lot of currency pair traders around the world. Okay, in hindsight, it's going straight up, right? This is on a 4-hour chart coming into this week in March. How could this have helped us? Well, we apply the zones. We simply do the same thing on our platform. Click on the PTS XT tab, and we see that we have these really nice zones to the upside. There were no downward zones at all. So we would never have been shorting into this the way most traders trade. They say, well, this is too high. This has gone up. It's overbought. We have to sell. The PTS XT will only get you into where there's a strong trending move, okay? It won't go against the grain. So right here, you see if you had bought at the bottom, potentially 175 pips, here potentially 175, and here potentially 175. If you wanted to use one of our strategies for trading the euro dollar, look at all the buy signals that were generated that you could have potentially taken advantage of. Now that's on the euro dollar. Let's look on the way I trade it. This is a 5-minute chart of the E-mini, okay? Now, this was on March 6th. Now on March 6th, on a 5-minute chart of the E-mini, I believe this is a strategy number 5 signal was generated to go short. Now, let's say you're trading whatever strategy and you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You're saying, well, you know, we've come down the last half hour or so. I don't know if I want to be shorting at the very bottom of this. This is where this tool will help you pull the trigger, because right here you see the last 3 bars have been in the extreme downtrend zone. So this will give you the confidence to take this trade, and look what happened. The E-mini fell 50 points in the next day or so. That's $2,500 potentially per contract, okay? We're not saying you would have made that, but potentially you could have captured that if you decided to stay in that long. How did this tool know it was going to be going straight down? That's the beauty of the PTS XT. It really defines these strong, fast markets. And lastly, commodities. We know a lot of people scared of the markets now. They don't feel comfortable in stocks. They want to move into things that are more tangible, like commodities. Well, here's a chart of coffee, okay? It went straight up, kind of went sideways for a while, then went straight down. How could this have helped us? Well, as we see here, off this first bar alone, had you just used that signal as your trading vehicle, well, potentially you could have captured 26 points to the upside. You would have been out of this area right here, and then when the tool signaled that a strong downward move was about to take place, you potentially could have captured 21 points. Now, if you wanted to use one of our strategies, you could have done the same thing. Now, here's something that's really important. See how this would have captured a real strong part of this upward move, and see how these signals would have captured the real strong downward move here. But what about this sell signal, okay? This is the beauty. Since it's not in any one of these blocks, in any one of these zones, you would not have taken that, and you would have avoided trading. And that most likely would have been a loss, because had you sold here, look what happened the next 3 or 4 days. It went much higher. Most likely you would have been stopped out. Okay? Okay, so let's review before we go into the question and answer portion. Let me tell you about a great discount we're going to be giving you and a great offer. What are the advantages of trading with the PTS Extreme Trend? Remember, it identifies these high probability zones. And once you know these zones, you can decide whether to trade them or to use them to keep you out of these choppy whipsaw markets. Either way, it will increase your odds for consistency because you know when to trade and when not to trade. Now, these zones pinpoint these low-hanging fruit trade areas. I just showed you with current charts that many of these examples happened within the last week. It provides multiple trading opportunities. You can trade your strategy, you can trade one of mine, you can trade a method that you just made up on your own, or you can just, if you want to, trade the blocks. The minute you see a block turn orange or yellow, you can decide to go in if you want. It's your choice, okay? It identifies which markets to avoid. Remember, you can apply these to different indices, to ETFs, and it will keep you out of them entirely. Now, it also eliminates trading traffic jams. These are congestion you don't want to be in. This is where traders most likely lose money. Remember, most traders trade like they're waiting in line, okay? Either you put a limit order in or you're in the trade and all of a sudden nothing happens or it goes exactly opposite of where you want it to go. So the extreme trend is for traders or investors who want to trade in the express lane. With the extreme trend indicator, You won't have to wait or research the way you see right here. You'll all simply just go to the head of the line. You'll step into high probability momentum. That's the beauty of trading in the express lane. That's the beauty of trading with the extreme indicator. Okay, so here's what we have. We're going to offer you the extreme trend tool. This generates these high probability zones. You can apply it to any market, any time frame. You can trade with your current strategy. You can build a strategy based off it. It'll give you the confidence to pull the trigger, and you can use it for a market timing tool. But we're not going to just stop there. We're not going to just offer you the tool. We're also going to throw in the PTS Primo charting platform. This is where you see everything is so simple. It's just one click away. It's on our platform, and all you have to do is click that tab the way I showed you, and it automatically will generate these blocks. This is the educational platform that identifies extreme trends in advance. Now, we're going to throw in 12 months free. If you decide to become a student of this tool, a member of this course, you'll get 12 months free. Now, with this platform, you'll also get all these other tools thrown in. Obviously, you're going to get one-click access to the PTS XT. You'll also get our enhanced buy-sell line. This tells you the overall trend. You also get a strength of trend tool. This is a tool that many times, if you're using this in conjunction with our indicator, will tell you when a trend is just about to run out of steam, okay? You'll get over 90 of the most prominent technical indicators you experiment with if you'd like. Auto-generated exit levels with our strategies and with our up and down arrows, and personalized tech support. But I think one of the best things about this is on our platform, you can apply our signal scanner. And so you can scan nightly for these new setups when you have a new block just formulating off of a stock or future or a currency pair, and you can know in advance when these are happening. So this is the beauty of using our platform. You'll have the scanner at your availability whenever you'd like. So here's the offer we're expanding today. We're going to give to you and trade in the express lane. This is, we're going to be able to give you the capability to trade in the express lane. Now, the usual pre-launch sale price is $49.95. Now, remember, no one else has been exposed to this other than me and a few other people that have been testing this for their own personal trading. So this is our pre-launch special. So we're going to discount that for you. We're going to take $500 off that price. We're also going to throw in 12 months of the platform free, and we're also going to offer you payment plans. So obviously, not everyone can come up with $44.95. If you have a small deposit that you can work with Pro Trader Strategies, they will help you work with and put together and define a payment plan. You can still be up and running as early as today. Now, before we go, I just want to share one last thing and show you how powerful this tool is. Now, we all know that the Dow has been going through a really rough time. It lost over 2,000 points. It says here, its worst single day drop in history. This was on March 9th, okay? The Dow Jones Industrial Average tumbled closer to bear territory on mounting fears about the global economy, plunging a record-breaking 2,013 points, or nearly 8%, okay? The NASDAQ plunged over 7%. All right, so let's look at how this tool could have helped you. As we see here, coming into that, we were in an uptrend zone, which would have gotten you out of the market on the 21st. So you would not have been in the market. These are the zones you would have been avoiding. Now look what happened on the 25th. That was your first block of a downtrend warning coming from this tool. All right, remember, this does not recalculate. It does not repaint. Where everyone would thought, well, this has just been a bad couple of days. We're going to bounce up the way we always have. This tool was actually saying, I don't think so. This is warning of a strong downward move. Although it wasn't guaranteed, look what happened on the 9th when that news came out about the worst market ever, one-day drop, okay? We don't want to toot our horn, but this is the beauty of this tool. This could have helped you tremendously. It could have kept you out. Let's say you were in the market. This would have been a great tool to just say, you know what? If this tool is signaling that we're going to have a strong downward fast move, I don't really want to be in this market. Maybe I'll move my stop up. Maybe I'll exit all entirely, or maybe I won't buy more the way I was planning. Or if you're a more aggressive trader, how would you have liked to have bought some puts on the 25th? Okay? This is our goal as educators. We want to help you. We're trying to provide you with all these tools. How you decide to trade them is up to you. We're not trading for you. Remember, a good mentor does not trade for you. He teaches you how to trade and provides you with tools and techniques to increase your odds for consistency. That's our goal at Pro Trader Strategies and Specialist Trading. As educators, we want to increase your odds for consistency. So take advantage of this great offer. You'll be some of the first to use this new tool along with myself. The way to do that is to contact Pro Trader Strategies, my sister site. I developed a tool with them, and it's on our platform. They're in charge of all our discounts, all our tech support with the platform. I would really highly suggest calling them directly at area code 310-598-6677. They are trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be happy with no obligation involved to discuss, a payment plan. If you'd like to put down a small deposit, you can still be up and running as early as today and have this tool at your ready so you can start looking for new setups that are being generated using the PTS XT, all right? Now, the link you see at the very bottom is the link that'll take you to the sign-up page if you want to sign up online or if you want more information online, okay? We have posted that link on our chat box because this link is not live. So as you can see on our chat box on the GoToWebinar column, you just click that one on and it will automatically create a browser for you that has that sign-up page, okay? I'm going to leave this information up here. We've reserved the last portion of this presentation so that you can ask me questions. So if you have any questions, now's the time. Just go to the question and answer box and I will be more than happy to answer them, okay? Someone is asking, can you scan? Yes, you can. I think maybe you asked that before I went into the portion at the end. Yes, that's the beauty of it. I mean, one of the things I do is scan with this to see what the setups are for the next day. And even though most of my trading is intraday, you can also have intraday scans on our platform as well, okay? So if you, let's say you're intraday scanning a number of different stocks, maybe futures, maybe currency pairs, you can do an intraday scan as well. This is the beauty of our platform, all right? Can you show how it works with the PTD and Strategy 4? Unfortunately, this is not a dynamic presentation, static. This is all on a PowerPoint presentation. My platform has been closed down right now. But I just showed you things that happened just this past week. So you can really see how well it works. Now, in coming presentations, I will show you different ways in which to apply it with the PTD, with different strategies. Some of the strategies you just saw where I showed you where there were up and down arrows within the blocks and the zones were strategy 4 and strategy number 10 and strategy number 5, okay? So you can apply, it works great. The beauty of this is that since you know right now through the blocks and through these zones when a high probability strong up move or strong down move is going to happen, you can apply any strategy. It really doesn't matter. It's really up to you. It doesn't mean that one works better than the other. Now, since the PTD is not a strategy, it's just a short-term trend identifier, there are ways which I have seen and which I use in my own trading that work very well with this. And I will be showing those in coming presentations, but I just didn't want to go that far in detail. I didn't want to complicate things right now for people who aren't familiar with the PTD and are just learning this for the first time. So it works really well with the PTD in certain instances, and I'll be talking about that later on, okay? Let's see. I can't believe you didn't tell me about this before. Well, I think I did. This is Craig. This is someone I had was corresponding with, and we were talking about this a little while ago. I think I did mention that we're going to have something very soon come out. This is great. Now, I know Craig trades currency pairs. I showed you examples in currency pairs how this can work. I use it on the E-mini. I use this on tick charts and on 5-minute bars on the E-mini. I showed you examples of that. You can use it on weekly bars. I showed you weekly bars of gold and of BABA. It doesn't matter because this is just listening to the market. And when all these things converge, all these proprietary tools converge, most likely a strong trend is about to take place, okay? So this is why we're really excited about this. And you've just seen how well it works. You know, so many people, when they have a new product or a new tool or a new strategy, they'll show you in a presentation or a webinar how great it is. And then you'll look back and you'll say, well, gosh, that happened about 6 months ago. Or maybe that was even a year ago, the examples you're sharing with me. I just showed you examples that happened last week. You know, don't you think you would have liked to know what was going to happen in the spiders or in the indexes if you just wanted to use them on an indice? I mean, this would have helped you tremendously. I know this helped me. I wasn't in the market anything long overnight because I knew that this was telling me that it was announcing a very strong move to the downside. Remember, this new tool automatically identifies these extreme trend momentum areas, regardless of what market or time frame. So traders who only trade with the extreme zone have shown to have higher probability setups. These are traders that have been, using this in beta with me, and experimenting along with myself. You have higher probability setups if you're using these rather than using them in a normal environment. So take your trading to the next extreme with new PTS XT tool, okay? I want to thank you for attending today. If you have any questions concerning price or concerning, tech support, or concerning if this will run with another scan or another tool, contact Pro Trader Strategies. They're manning the phones right now. There's absolutely no obligation. I don't want you to be afraid to call up and think they're going to have to make a sale. They will be happy to work with you, but there's no obligation. They're there to answer any question you may have concerning discounts, concerning payment plans, and concerning tech support, okay? Now, as we close here, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. Thanks for taking time out of your day. And as you take one last look at our disclaimer, I just really want to say I use this tool. I use it on a daily basis. So I'm talking from my heart here. It's really increased my odds since I had it automated. I mean, I was always using it, but I couldn't use it in the capacity I am now because it just was too hard and too difficult to format. But now that it's right there in a block or in a zone for me, it makes it so much easier. All I have to do is see when one of these blocks or these zones is being formatted. Then I know which direction I should be trading. Then I can apply any technique or any strategy to that direction, okay? So thank you so much for attending. I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to all of you becoming students of the new PTS XT Extreme tool. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.